The series begins by showing some soldiers who came and attacked the Yan kingdom. These soldiers were led by Chu Kui. At that time, they managed to bring down the previous leader, and now Chu Kui is the new emperor of Yan. After becoming emperor, Chu Kui ordered his fellow generals to wipe out everyone in the palace. Fast forward 10 years, there were 2 hunters in a forest on Wolf Mountain who were on the hunt for wolves. At that time, people told them that there might be werewolves that could harm them. However, they don't believe to that kind of story and just keep going. While they were hunting, a real werewolf showed up and attacked them. One of the hunters went back to Quizzo City to tell Majun, who is the son of Mayor Mijing, about this scary incident. At first, Majun didn't believe the story about the werewolf, but his little sister named Jazing scolded him. She even threatened to tell their father because Majun was ignoring the people in their town. Afraid of getting in trouble with their dad, Majun decided to check out the forest with his soldiers. Long story short, when they got to the mountain, a bunch of wolves suddenly attacked them. Majun got really scared and ordered his troops to block off Wolf Mountain because it was too dangerous for people. As they were leaving the mountain, they stumbled upon a young man named Chu Yao, who turned out to be a werewolf. Turns out all this scary stuff was actually Jazing's plan to frighten Majun into closing off the mountain. At that time, she wanted to make sure no more hunters would come to Wolf Mountain. In the evening, Jazing and Chu Yao were on their way to town. While walking through the forest, they accidentally get stuck on a trap made by hunters. Right after that happened, Chu Yao quickly acted to keep Jazing safe. The next day, Mayor Quizzo returned to the city with General Sinho. At the same time, Chu Yao and Jazing arrived in Quizzo City. At first, he caused some trouble by trying to free the chicks at the market. Seeing his action, Jazing had to take him away from there, and then invited him to watch a show about their own story. In the story, Jazing was out looking for flowers in the forest when she stumbled upon Chu Yao, who had initially planned to attack her. But she noticed that Chu Yao was sick, so she took care of him. That's how they became close friends. During the performance, Chu Yao secretly went back to the city to give Jazing a candy gift. He took the candy without paying, which made a merchant angry, thinking he had stolen it. Fortunately, an old woman stepped in to help Chu Yao, and Jazing found him too. Then Chu Yao thanked the old lady for her help. In the evening, Ma Jing and General Sheho were having a chat, but things took a strange turn when General Sheho called Ma Jing a wolf. This upset Jazing, who overheard it, and she cleverly insulted him back. In response, Ma Jing punished Jazing by grounding her in her room for 7 days. Later on, Ma Jing visited Jazing in her room and thanked her for standing up to General Sheho. However, he scolded her for coming home late at night. Then, Jazing explained that she had just taken her friend for a walk in the city. At the same time, General Sheho met with Wang Shang, the Ma family advisor. He apologized for Jazing's behavior towards General Sheho earlier. Seizing the opportunity, he ordered Wang Shang to catch a wolf, or he would report the incident to Emperor Chu Kui. General Sheho's mission in Quizzo City was not just to protect Mijing, but also to find wolf meat, which was believed to have special healing properties. The next day, Wang Xiang went into the forest and found a wolf cub, which happened to be Chu Yao's friend. Then he captured the wolf cub while Chu Yao was in Quizzo City, planning to thank an old lady who had helped him before. Shortly after, Jazing met Chu Yao and thanked him because they were always together. As they chatted, they heard the wolf cub's voice coming from a carriage belonging to the Ma family that was passing by. This made him suspicious, so he went back to the forest but couldn't find the wolf's trail. After that, he returned to the city to continue his search. In the evening, Chu Yao decided to sneak into the Ma family's residence to rescue the wolf. Suddenly, a commotion erupted, and General Sheho died under mysterious circumstances. Wang Shang, aware of the werewolf attack, revealed that General Sheho had been killed by a werewolf. Upon hearing this, Mijing ordered his troops to find the werewolf before Emperor Chu Kui knew about it. Jazing, who had just returned home, received news from a Ma family general named Fang Chan, who informed her that a werewolf had attacked the Ma family's house and killed General Sheho. Jazing knew that the werewolf was Chu Yao and immediately went to her father, telling him that the murderer he was looking for was a close friend. She believed that Chu Yao wouldn't harm people without reason. Furious that his daughter's friend was the killer, Mijing punished Jizing by locking her to her room. The next day, the Ma family soldiers went into Wolf Mountain. When Chu Yao found out, he tried to rescue a baby wolf and distract the soldiers. Unfortunately, he fell into a trap, and all the wolves gathered around the Ma family troops. But Chu Yao told the wolf pack to leave the forest. Meanwhile, Jizing's maid, Xianfeng, came to tell Jizing that Chu Yao had been captured. Afraid that she couldn't keep her promise to protect him, Jizing asked Xianfeng for help in getting him out of her room. On the other hand, Chu Yao heard Jizing's bell and used his remaining strength to escape from the cage and find her. When they met, Jizing told Chu Yao that he couldn't stay in Quizhou City anymore and asked him to leave. She even said some hurtful things to him, pretending to hate him, so that he would leave and not get caught by his family's soldiers again. After some time, Feng Chen met Mijing and said sorry for letting Chu Yao escape from the cage by mistake. Surprisingly, Mijing offered to hunt for Chu Yao the next day. Meanwhile, Jizing was in her room, feeling sad, thinking that Chu Yao might not return to see her. While in the forest, Chu Yao found the necklace that Jizing had thrown away. The following day, Jizing asked Xianfeng not to mention Emperor Chu Kui because he was coming to the city soon. Unexpectedly, Xianfeng got sick because of a wild plant in Jizing's room. This reminded Jizing of something, so she checked the room where General Shoho had died. There, she became suspicious about the food General Shoho had eaten. Meanwhile, Ma Feng, who was outside the house, got hit by an arrow from Emperor Chu Kui. Then, Emperor Chu Kui saw General Shoho's body and heard stories about werewolves. Surprisingly, he got curious and wanted to see what a werewolf looked like. Shortly after, Jizing came to report what she had discovered. She explained that General Shoho had eaten wild herb soup and ginseng soup before his death. These soups weren't harmful on their own, but if they were mixed and eaten together, they could be dangerous to the human body. Before General Shoho died from poisoning, an assassin strangled him and made it look like he was killed by a werewolf. Then Jizing asked Emperor Chu Kui to investigate the people in the Ma family's house. But before that could happen, Wang Xinan confessed to his actions. He did it because he had a deep grudge against General Shoho, who had killed his family. After learning the truth, Mijing ordered Jizing to stop Mijing from going into the forest to catch the werewolf. Meanwhile, Chu Yao heard Jizing's bell and rushed to her. Wang Xinan was in jail and about to be executed by Mijing. Surprisingly, Wang Xiang thanked Mijing for saving Princess Ping Yuan's daughter, who none other than Jizing. Previously, Mijing had actually helped Princess Ping Yuan escape from the Yan Palace, and it turns out he had raised Jizing as his own daughter. On the other hand, Chu Yao planned to meet Jizing but was ambushed by Mijing's troops. It turned out that the bell didn't belong to Jizing cause it was a trap set up by Mijing there. He said he came on Jizing's orders to kill Chu Yao. This saddened Chu Yao because he trusted Jizing, who had actually betrayed him. Soon after, a pack of wolves arrived and attacked Mijing and his troops. At that time, Chu Yao watched his wolf friends get killed, and even his wolf mother died while protecting him from an arrow. This made him really angry, and he confronted Mijing, but by the time Jizing reached the forest, it was too late cause Chu Yao had been shot and had fallen into a ravine. Later on, Mijing was furious with Mijing for his actions. He had killed many wolves and even caused Chu Yao to fall into a ravine. Because of that, Mijing was punished and demoted to a lower rank in the army. Mijing then went to see Jizing, who was still in her room. When Jizing woke up, she cried because she couldn't save Chu Yao. Meanwhile, Chu Yao had been rescued by Emperor Chu Kui. Emperor Chu Kui even made him his adopted son and planned to keep his existence a secret. Emperor Chu Kui also intended to train Chu Yao to become the strongest warrior in the Yan Kingdom. The next day, Jizing was sad in the forest, waiting for Chu Yao to return. 8 years later, Jizing was getting ready to marry someone, but she decided to call off the engagement. In fact, she planned to lower her reputation on purpose so that no one else would propose to her. Meanwhile, in the border area between the two kingdoms, soldiers from the Yan kingdom were trying to capture a city that belonged to the Qin kingdom. Not long after, Chu Yao arrived with his wolf troop. After 8 years, Chu Yao, who still felt betrayed by Jiazing, had become a tough and ruthless warrior because of training from Emperor Chu Kui. After the war, Chu Yao went to see Emperor Chu Kui and brought a box with an enemy's head. At that time, Emperor Chu Kui introduced Chu Yao to his palace officials as his third adopted child. In the evening, Chu Yao met with Emperor Chu Kui again at the palace. There, he ordered Chu Yao to kill Mijing, who was the mayor of Quizhou City, because he thought Mijing was starting to disobey his orders. While in his room, Chu Yao still had the necklace that Jiazing had given him. Soon after, 3 of his bodyguards arrived, and Chu Yao told them about the mission given by Emperor Chu Kui to spy on Mijing in Quizhou City. On the flip side, Jiazing's plan to cancel marriage proposals had failed, so she decided to test the applicants instead. After successfully turning away all the applicants with her test, a young man named Gu King from the Gu family showed up. Jiazing thought Gu King had come to propose to her and gave her a test. Surprisingly, Gu King answered the test easily, but it turned out Gu King was only there to deliver a message from his father. After Gu King left, Xian Feng suggested to Jiazing that she should consider marrying Gu King and forget about Chu Yao, who had returned in the last 8 years. Xian Feng believed Chu Yao might be dead after falling into the ravine, but Jiazing still held on to the hope that Chu Yao was alive and would come back to see her. Sometime later, Chu Yao and his bodyguards finally arrived in Quizhou City. There he saw a candy seller and remembered his past. He also noticed a puzzle that Jiazing had left in a tavern for him. At that time, he easily solved the riddle, which saved him from paying for the food he and his 3 bodyguards had eaten. Shortly after, Jiazing was walking in town, and the tavern owner told her about the young man who had solved the riddle. This made her realize that the young man was Chu Yao. Meanwhile, Chu Yao and his bodyguards had reached the inn. At the same time, Jiazing also showed up to put on a puppet show. Jiazing was hoping to bump into Chu Yao while in the city. As she started the puppet show, Chu Yao watched and memories of their past together flooded back. But just as they were about to reconnect, Chu Yao's bodyguard rushed in with news that Mijing had returned to the city. A little later, Jiazing returned home and found Mijing, who had just come back, needing a massage. At that time, he was thinking about retiring from being the mayor. However, he was quite concerned about Jiazing and suggested that she forget about Chu Yao and marry someone else. In the evening, Chu Yao's elite troops began moving, planning to attack the Ma family. Mijing realized the danger and confronted the elite troops in a fight. Sadly, he lost his life at the hands of the enemy. The following day, one of the Ma family generals named Si Han arrived and discovered everyone dead. Because of that, he was determined to seek revenge for Mijing's death. Turns out, Mijing was killed by one of Chu Yao's bodyguards, Haiti. But surprisingly, Haiti left a message claiming that the massacre was orchestrated by the Qin kingdom. Meanwhile, at the inn, one of Chu Yao's other bodyguards, Wang Nan, successfully brought Jiazing to the inn for treatment. Soon after, Haiti arrived and updated Chu Yao on their progressing plan. Wang Nan also reported on Jiazing's poor condition. Seeing Jiazing, Chu Yao remembered the kindness she had shown in the past, but also recalled Menzhen's words, suggesting that Jiazing had betrayed him. Eventually, Jiazing regained consciousness, but due to past trauma, she was suffering from mental issues. Chu Yao had to come up with a new plan to help her recover. Meanwhile, at the Ma family's headquarters, the soldiers learned about the massacre by the Qin kingdom and decided to seek help from Emperor Chu Kui for revenge. However, this massacre was actually part of Emperor Chu Kui's plan to get the Ma family soldiers to assist in an attack on the Qin kingdom. The next day, Chu Yao went to Moonstar Mountain to gather medicinal ingredients. During this time, Chu Yao was attacked by 2 tigers. In another location, Hu Qing and his troops were searching for Jiazing, eventually finding her with Wang Nan. Wang Nan explained that he was an emissary from Emperor Chu Kui and had gone to the Ma family that night to save Jiazing. After that, Wang Nan asked Hu Xing for help in treating Jiaxing's mental disorder. Shortly after, Chu Yao returned from the forest with medicinal plants for Jiaxing. With Gu Qing's assistance, Jiaxing started to eat and communicate again. There, Gu Qing suggested that Jiaxing be allowed to return to the Ma residence, but Chu Yao declined, asking Gu Xing to stay and take care of Jiaxing at their current location. On the other hand, the Ma family soldiers reached the border and were welcomed by Yan Kingdom's Prime Minister Bao Bao. There, Bao Bao invited General Feng Chen and his troops to assist Emperor Chu Kui. However, the clever General Feng Chen quickly realized that the Qin Kingdom was not responsible for the Ma family massacre. Meanwhile, at the palace, Emperor Chu Kui received news of the Ma soldiers' request for a blood oath, but he was reluctant to do that. Instead, he ordered Haiti to bring Jiaxing to the palace. However, when Chu Yao and his guards returned to the inn, they discovered that Gu Qing had taken Jiaxing away. Turns out, Gu Qing had his own plan, intending to use Jiaxing to form an alliance with the Qin Kingdom. Then he insulted Jiaxing, who had a liking for werewolves like Chu Yao, and even planned to harm her. Fortunately, Chu Yao arrived just in time to rescue Jiaxing. When Jiaxing heard Chu Yao's cries, she regained consciousness and remembered their memories. In the end, after being apart for 8 long years, they finally reunited, but Chu Yao acted as if he was a stranger to Jiaxing. He introduced himself as the 3rd prince of the Yan Kingdom, not as Chu Yao. Later that evening, Wang Nan asked Jiaxing about her last memories. Jiaxing shared how her father had been killed by people dressed in black. Chu Yao also falsely claimed that the Qin Kingdom had conspired with Hu Xing to massacre the Ma family and even provided evidence to convince Jiaxing. This made Jiaxing hold a grudge against the Qin Kingdom, and she planned to stop the Ma family warriors who were currently attacking the Yan Kingdom capital. The next day, loads of Ma family soldiers showed up at the Yan Palace, demanding that Emperor Chu Kui give his word. At the same time, the 2nd prince rushed over to talk to them and asked them to hang on a bit until Chu Yao came back with proof that Emperor Chu Kui was innocent. Meanwhile, Chu Yao's bodyguard named Mu told them that the Ma family troops were already right outside the Yan Palace gates, so Chu Yao suggested they take a risky shortcut. Long story short, Chu Yao and Jiaxing ended up at the edge of a cliff, which reminded Jiaxing of Chu Yao falling off a cliff once, and she passed out. Then he carried her down and met Haiti, who had horses ready for them. In the end, they made it to the palace gates. Jiaxing explained to General Feng Chen how the Qin Kingdom was working with Hu Qing, showing the evidence he had. This convinced the Ma family troops that the attackers were from the Qin Kingdom. Emperor Chu Kui even came out to meet them and made a promise, just like General Feng Chen asked. Eventually, General Feng Chen and his troops promised their loyalty to Emperor Chu Kui, and everything went according to his plans. While in the palace, Jiaxing was determined to seek revenge for her family's death. Shortly after, General Feng Chen arrived, and Jiaxing quickly knelt down to thank his soldiers for their sacrifice. From now on, Jiaxing would take on her father's role. She then shared with him how she had been saved by Chu Yao during his journey and how he had helped solve their problems. Long story short, Chu Yao was getting his wounds tended to by Wang Nan in his room. Soon after, Jiaxing came to help check on Chu Yao's injuries. As Jiaxing examined him, she began to suspect that the man in front of her was Chu Yao, the man she had loved in the past. However, at that moment, Chu Yao was still pretending to be someone else, the 3rd prince. Sometime later, Emperor Chu Kui was hosting a gathering with officials and generals from the Ma family. He asked them not to bring up the incident at the palace gates anymore. Emperor Chu Kui then revealed his plan to marry Jiaxing and Chu Yao, even pressuring her to accept the marriage as a symbol of his loyalty to the Yan Kingdom. With no other choice and driven by the desire for revenge against the Qin Kingdom, Jiaxing and Chu Yao became officially engaged. After the party, Jiaxing appeared to be drunk because she deeply missed the old Chu Yao. However, she had decided that she didn't want to see him anymore, as she planned to marry another man once the war against the Qin Kingdom was over. Interestingly, the man she was going to marry was actually Chu Yao himself, but for now, he was still pretending to be someone else because she believed that Jiaxing had betrayed her. The following evening, Chu Yao visited Jiaxing's place and overheard Jiaxing reading poetry. To everyone's surprise, he recognized the poem, leaving Jiaxing a bit astonished. At that time, Jiaxing also opened up about how painful it had been to be separated from Chu Yao and expressed her desire to go through many things together with him. Hearing that, Chu Yao, still pretending to be the third prince, advised Jiaxing to forget about Chu Yao. The following day, Jiaxing spotted Chu Yao practicing. Later, he decided to teach her some martial arts. As a romantic gesture, he gave her a wolf bow, and they started practicing together affectionately. Afterward, Chu Yao and the second prince were summoned to appear in front of Emperor Chu Kui. The second prince was asked by the emperor to assist the third prince in taking care of Princess Bana from the Kithan Kingdom, who was about to visit Yan Kingdom. Upon their return, they found Jiaxing in the garden, and the second prince informed him about Princess Bana's past affection for the third prince, which made the third prince feel uneasy when discussing her. Back at the third prince's residence, Jiaxing discovered a gift from Bana, showing her deep affection for the third prince. The next day, Princess Bana arrived to meet the long-awaited third prince. In the evening, there was a scene where a criminal was being chased by a man, and the man handed the criminal over to the Yan Kingdom soldiers in exchange for a reward. This man was named Jai Kong and was renowned as a bounty hunter who often captured many criminals. As Jai Kong was getting ready to leave, he was approached by the second prince with a tempting offer, promising a generous reward. The following day, Bana took Jiaxing into a forest, where she pressured Jiaxing into joining her on a hunt. However, she had ulterior motives to set a trap for Jiaxing, hoping for an accident to happen. Soon after, the third prince, who was also known as Chu Yao, visited to check on Jiaxing's well-being. At that time, Wang Nan sensed that something wasn't right with the accident, so they went to Princess Bana's room. There, they discovered that Princess Bana had been pretending to be sick. Under Chu Yao's pressure, Princess Bana explained that her actions stemmed from jealousy upon knowing of the third prince's engagement to Jiaxing. In the evening, Bana and her troops were seen leaving the third prince's residence. However, they were ambushed by the second prince's bandit troops along the way. At that moment, Jai Kong managed to capture Bana, and the second prince informed Chu Yao about Bana's escape. The second prince also asked about the reason behind Bana's extreme anger the previous night. When the third Chu Yao heard about it, he rushed to see what was going on. When he got there, he saw that all of Bana's bodyguards had been killed. He also ran into the leader of Bana's guards, who was on her way to the palace. He learned that Princess Bana had been kidnapped by bandits. The guard leader reported this to Emperor Chu Kui, and it made the emperor really angry at the third prince. He blamed him for not protecting Princess Bana and sent him to prison. Meanwhile, Jiaxing got word about the third prince's imprisonment. Upon hearing this, she decided to go talk to Emperor Chu Kui in hopes of saving the third prince. When Jiaxing arrived at the palace, she asked if she could join the search for Bana. Emperor Chu Kui, who was impressed by Jiaxing's problem-solving skills in the past, agreed to let her go to the prison. When Jiaxing arrived there and met Chu Yao, she also asked Chu Yao if she could borrow his wolf because she wanted to investigate the problem. Long story short, Jiaxing decided to search for Bana using Chu Yao's trusty wolf. They hoped the wolf could sniff out Bana's location by recognizing her makeup scent. Meanwhile, Bana was being held captive by a guy named Jai Kong and his gang. Jai Kong's eagles were keeping an eye on Jiaxing's moves, so they could escape if needed. Soon enough, Jiaxing used a bell to help the wolf pinpoint where Bana was taken. But when they got there, Bana was gone. However, her horse seemed fine, so maybe she was okay too. Jiaxing suspected that these weren't just ordinary bandits, but rather there might be traitors within Yan Kingdom who wanted power. When Jai Kong heard Jiaxing's correct guess, he changed his plan and approached Jiaxing. He admitted to being part of the kidnapping, but had left the gang and was marked for death. To prove he was serious, Jai Kong told them where Bana was being taken. With this new information, Jiaxing managed to catch up to Bana and save her. But just as they were about to rescue her, they were ambushed by one of the bandits. Surprisingly, Jai Kong came to their rescue. Afterward, Jiaxing asked that Hidi and the others not treat Jai Kong as a criminal. Then, Jai Kong also mentioned that he didn't know who ordered them to do this kidnapping. In exchange for his help, Jai Kong made a deal with Jazing. Shortly after, they secretly took Bana to the palace, where she apologized to Emperor Chu Kui for the chaos. Jazing explained that they had to keep Bana's safety hidden because there was a chance she might be confined in the palace. Then, Bana thanked Jazing for her assistance and apologized to her. Meanwhile, Jai Kong sneaked into the second prince's residence and informed him about their failed plan. Jai Kong explained that the third prince and his troops already suspected the second prince, so he advised the second prince to make someone else take the blame to avoid getting caught. Sometime later, the second prince framed Prime Minister Bao Bao for the kidnapping, providing evidence of what he had said to his soldiers. The second prince then reported Prime Minister Bao Bao's betrayal to Emperor Chu Kui. Upon learning this, Emperor Chu Kui sentenced Prime Minister Bao Bao to death. Meanwhile, the third prince was released because he was innocent. After Prime Minister Bao Bao's execution, the second prince's wife knew about it and was devakingdomed. Sadly, the second prince couldn't do anything to stop Emperor Chu Kui's order, and his wife fainted from the shock. The next day, Chu Yao, who felt guilty about Jazing, decided to stop being kind to her. He reminded his guards about the Ma family massacre they had carried out and showed her cruel side. Meanwhile, Jazing made breakfast for Chu Yao, but he ignored her. Later, he went to the palace and met Emperor Chu Kui, who ordered him and Jazing to head to Kithan Kingdom together. At the same time, Jai Kong met the second prince and plotted to kill the third prince. At that time, Jai Kong saw the third prince's upcoming trip as the perfect opportunity and planned to use Jazing to infiltrate the third prince's army. Long story short, Chu Yao's troops started their journey to Kithan, and Jai Kong suddenly offered his help. Jazing also informed Chu Yao that Jai Kong could use her eagle to scout for dangers on their journey. After a long journey, they decided to take a break in the city of Quizin. In the evening, they threw a big party to welcome the third prince. The rich folks in Quizao hosted him because they were going to help in the war against the Qin kingdom. Soon after, the main event happened, and Jazing looked stunning as she danced in front of the third prince, also known as Chu Yao. She danced her heart out for him. But then, to everyone's surprise, Chu Yao scolded her in front of everyone for what she did. This made the three guys who had proposed to Jazing and got rejected insult her too. Jazing left the party feeling hurt, and Chu Yao got really angry and punished those three guys. Later, Chu Yao got a report from Mu about a guy named Jai Kong who was acting suspicious at the Ma family's place. Jai Kong admitted that he brought some candy for Jazing to cheer her up after what happened with Chu Yao, but when he went to her room, she wasn't there. The next day, Jai Kong told Chu Yao that Jazing had disappeared. There, Chu Yao realized where Jazing had gone at that time. Meanwhile, Jazing is in a cave that holds special memories with Chu Yao. Soon after, Chu Yao arrived and helped Jazing, who was tired. Jai Kong was also searching for Jazing and discovered her lying in the cave. When Jazing woke up, she mentioned that this cave held memories of people she loved in the past. That's why she came here, to find comfort and gather her strength to accept her engagement. Jazing was determined to make the third prince, even though he was currently distant and disrespectful. She had agreed to marry him to protect the Ma family and seek revenge on the Qin kingdom, which she believed had killed her father. The next day, their journey was supposed to continue, but Jazing became suspicious when a messenger from Princess Bana arrived to meet them. The messenger delivered a letter from Bana asking the third prince to come alone. Jazing realized that Princess Bana truly loved the third prince and decided to step back from the trip. She explained that if Princess Bana found out she was accompanying Chu Yao to the Khitan kingdom, she feared that Princess Bana would get upset and cancel the Yan kingdom's cooperation. After that, Jai Kong met Chu Yao and decided to quit helping him reach the Khitan kingdom because Jazing had also stopped. Jai Kong expressed his admiration for Jazing and wanted to protect her, so he joined her on the journey. The next day, Jazing couldn't find Jai Kong in her room. While searching for him, she discovered that he had met Bana on his way. When Jazing heard what Bana said, she felt that Chu Yao was being framed with a fake letter. Meanwhile, Chu Yao was getting ready to go to the forest where she had met Bana. Unfortunately, she fell into an enemy's trap. On the other hand, Jazing and Bana arrived at the location and saw Chu Yao captured by the enemy. Together, they devised a plan to rescue Chu Yao. Using Jazing's strategy, they distracted the assassins, allowing Chu Yao to escape and defeat the enemies. Eventually, they all managed to escape the trap and reunited with Jai Kong, who had stopped their escape. Seizing the opportunity, the assassins shot arrows and forced Jazing to sacrifice herself to help Chu Yao. Seeing that, Jai Kong asked Chu Yao to hurry and save Jazing while he diverted the assassins' attention. Then, once Chu Yao and Bana left, the assassins said sorry to Jai Kong because they accidentally hurt Jazing. Jai Kong then revealed that he was actually a prince from the Qin kingdom. He told his soldiers to find out what happened to the Ma family. At that time, Jai Kong decided not to go back to the Qin kingdom and wanted to protect Jazing because he was falling in love with her. But Jazing was still in danger with an arrow in her body. Soon after, Chu Yao told Wang Nan to save Jazing's life. When the arrow was removed, Jazing's pulse disappeared. Fortunately, Bana got some life-saving medicine from her kingdom, and thankfully, Jazing got better. Later, Jai Kong asked Chu Yao why he still cared about Jazing, even though he used to insult her. Chu Yao admitted that he only wanted to use Jazing's power to fight against the Qin kingdom. Hearing that made Jai Kong angry, and he challenged Chu Yao to a fight, but he ended up losing. Sometime later, Jazing woke up and she pushed Chu Yao away. She asked Jai Kong to stay with her. At that time, Jai Kong was mad at Jazing for being reckless and putting her life in danger. Then Jazing explained that she didn't want to see someone she cared about die again, like what happened to Chu Yao 8 years ago. She also believed that the third prince had ulterior motives, even though he always insulted and avoided her. At the same time, Chu Yao overheard their conversation from outside the tent, but didn't explain what had happened because he was focused on ensuring Jazing's survival. Upon noticing the arrow in Jazing's body, Chu Yao realized it was from a soldier in the Qin kingdom. He suspected there was a spy in his troops and asked his guards to secretly investigate. Meanwhile, the second prince was furious that his assassination plan had failed again and planned to ambush the third prince when he returned from the Khitan kingdom. However, his pregnant wife advised against it, but he didn't listen and accidentally hurt her. A little while later, the second prince's wife sent a letter to Emperor Chu Kui, telling him about the second prince's plans. After reading the letter, he immediately sent a warning message to the third prince, asking him to come back to the palace right away. The next day, both the third prince and the fourth prince returned to the palace. When they saw that the second prince was being held in custody, the fourth prince apologized to his older brother. But Emperor Chu Kui decided to imprison the second prince for his actions. The second prince was frustrated because his father favored the third prince, which had led to the death of the first prince. The fourth prince even threatened to leave the palace if he lost his older brother too. Afterward, Jazing talked to Emperor Chu Kui about how much the second prince cared for him. Even the fourth prince was eager to see his father and spend time with his older brothers, so Emperor Chu Kui asked Jazing to help the third prince and the fourth prince become close again. Emperor Chu Kui then talked to the fourth prince, who had been waiting for his older brothers to come back from the battlefield. Unfortunately, in that war, only the third prince returned, and the first prince sacrificed himself to stop the fighting. Meanwhile, Chu Yao asked Wang Nan to give the best care to Jazing, whose wound was still healing. Soon after, Jazing came to see Chu Yao, but he was distant. Even so, Jazing expressed the desire to stay at the fourth prince's house, but Chu Yao insisted that Jazing stay at the military headquarters, where Wang Nan could take better care of her. Later, at the military headquarters, Chu Yao trained with the soldiers and was able to defeat them all in a tug-of-war. Shortly after, Hossie came to report about an archery competition happening in the city of Quizhou that day. Coincidentally, Jazing was also planning to go to town to participate in the archery competition with Jai Kong. While in town, Jazing saw a butterfly that reminded her of Chu Yao. Then she stumbled upon an archery competition and got interested in joining. By chance, she met Chu Yao there. There, Chu Yao aimed to win the jade butterfly in the archery competition, but Jai Kong surprised everyone by hitting the target with his arrow. At that time, they kept hitting the target, and the challenge got tougher until one of them emerged as the winner. In the end, Chu Yao decided to let Jai Kong win. Chu Yao then took Jazing aside to check on how he was doing. However, Jazing, not wanting to endure insults again, planned to leave. This made Chu Yao angry, and he even threw away the perfume Jazing had brought. As he walked away, Jazing noticed that Chu Yao was alone and realized that he had managed to grab his perfume back just by listening to the sound. This reminded Jazing of Chu Yao's unique abilities. Jazing became more convinced that the third prince was Chu Yao. Shortly after, Jazing went to a cliff's edge and asked Jai Kong if it was possible for a werewolf to survive a fall off the cliff. Then, Jai Kong explained that humans have wolf instincts, making it unlikely for someone to die just from falling into an abyss. Hearing this, Jazing became even more certain that the third prince was Chu Yao. At this moment, Jazing understood the reason behind Chu Yao's actions, which was the care mixed with insults. Afterward, she approached the fourth prince with a plan. Soon after, Chu Yao received news that the fourth prince was being held hostage by Jai Kong. When the third prince arrived, Jai Kong attempted to use poison from scented candles to paralyze all three of them. However, he only had enough for two, and there were three of them. Eventually, Chu Yao made the choice to give the antidote to the fourth prince. Not long after, Emperor Chu Kui and Jazing arrived. Jazing then explained that what had happened was actually a test to see how Chu Yao would respond to the fourth prince's situation. Jazing was confident that the third prince would come to the aid of the fourth prince. She also realized that the sword the third prince had been carrying was a combination of the third prince's broken sword and the first prince's broken sword. This showed that the third prince, also known as Chu Yao, was not heartless and always remembered the kindness of the first prince. Emperor Chu Kui then revealed what had truly happened in the previous war. They had decided to retreat and save the fourth prince, who was in danger at the military base. However, when they were crossing a bridge, the first prince chose to stay behind and face the enemy alone. The fourth prince finally knew how his brother had died in the war and blamed himself for his brother's death. A little while later, Chu Yao bumped into the fourth prince and tried to calm him down. Chu Yao also handed over the inherited armor to the fourth prince. After that, he went to meet with Jazing. However, Chu Yao still didn't want to tell her that he is Chu Yao. Because Jazing was curious to prove it, she jumped into a ravine, and Chu Yao rushed to save her. Eventually, he admitted who he was. Soon after, they got back to Chu Yao's place, and there Jazing ran into Jai Kong again. Jai Kong then took Jazing to settle his old debt, and to everyone's surprise, he found out that the third prince was actually Chu Yao. Jai Kong felt sad because he didn't have a chance with Jazing anymore. So Jai Kong decided to leave and go to a place far from Jazing and the third prince. Sometime later, Chu Yao went into the forest because of Jai Kong's request, but he was careless and fell into Jai Kong's trap. Fortunately, Chu Yao managed to escape and had a showdown with Jai Kong. Soon after, Jazing intervened and stopped their fight. Then, Chu Yao told Jai Kong to leave right away. In the evening, Jazing asked how Chu Yao became the third prince of Yan Kingdom. There he explained that after Emperor Chu Kui rescued him, he was put in an underground prison where he endured harsh training and was used as a tool until he was made a prince. Meanwhile, Emperor Chu Kui was searching for the third prince but couldn't find him. Instead, he stumbled upon dolls that looked like Jazing and Chu Yao. This made Emperor Chu Kui suspect that the third prince had revealed his secret. At that time, Chu Yao's guards tried to explain and calm down Emperor Chu Kui. The next day, Jazing and Chu Yao went into town to buy some sweets. While they were there, they encountered a little girl named Mingjie who was upset with her father. Mingjie happened to be the daughter of the innkeeper, where Chu Yao and his guards had stayed before the incident with the Ma family. Chu Yao and Jazing decided to approach Mingji and planned to make her a new friend to play with. Later, Jazing took Mingji back home, and she told her father about her new friends. When Mingji's father saw Chu Yao, he felt that he recognized his face. Mingji then reminded him that the third prince was the person who had stayed at their inn in the past. Not long after, Mu arrived in Guizhou City and quickly reported the situation at the palace. Meanwhile, the innkeeper went to the Ma family's headquarters and expressed concern that Jazing might be in danger. He mentioned that the third prince, also known as Chu Yao, and his 3 bodyguards had stayed at his inn in the past and had disappeared on the night of the Ma family massacre. Hearing that, Mingji's father grew suspicious of the third prince's involvement in the massacre, but General Feng Chen couldn't take action based on suspicions. In the evening, the third prince finally met with Emperor Chu Kui, who asked if Jazing knew his true identity. Chu Yao lied to Emperor Chu Kui, claiming that he had never met Jazing before. He did this to protect Jazing from Emperor Chu Kui, as revealing her identity could lead to the Ma family's troops discovering who was behind the massacre. Then, Emperor Chu Kui tested Chu Yao's loyalty by ordering him to kill the innkeeper and his daughter. Although Chu Yao accepted the mission, Emperor Chu Kui remained doubtful and wanted to test him further. Soon after, he arranged a meeting with Yaoji in prison. Yaoji was Chu Yao's rival in the past for the position of elite warrior leader, which Chu Yao currently held. The next day, Chu Yao pondered how to do this mission. Not too long after that, Jazing arrived and felt anxious when she saw Chu Yao cleaning his sword. She asked if his mission involved someone's death, and Chu Yao confirmed it. Jazing believed that Chu Yao would overcome his instincts and not harm innocent people. Meanwhile, at the palace, Emperor Chu Kui was with Yaoji and reminded him that they had been adopted at the same time because they both had the same special abilities. Sometime later, Jazing received a summons to meet Emperor Chu Kui alone. When she arrived, Emperor Chu Kui discussed her still healing leg and expressed his intention to help her recover. He promised to bring the best physician he had. In the end, Jazing met the healer, who turned out to be Yaoji. There, Yaoji asked Jazing to soak her feet in medicinal herbs, but as Jazing was about to leave, Yaoji stopped her and asked her to stay. Meanwhile, at the inn in Guizhou City, the innkeeper and his daughter were busy preparing food for General Feng Chen. Shortly after, Chu Yao arrived and set the inn on fire. Afterward, he returned to the palace and learned about Jazing receiving treatment. Just before leaving, he noticed camellia flowers in Emperor Chu Kui's room, realizing that the one caring for Jazing was Yaoji. Then, Emperor Chu Kui assured Chu Yao not to worry and to trust Yaoji. The following day, Chu Yao was discussing plans to assist the fourth prince in his war efforts. However, Haiti reported that the door to the secret room at their headquarters had opened. When they reached the location, they encountered Yaoji, who launched a poison attack. At that moment, Chu Yao questioned Yaoji's intentions and warned her not to harm Jazing. Then, Yaoji explained Emperor Chu Kui's suspicions about Chu Yao's loyalty and asked to be made the leader of Yan Kingdom's elite soldiers to ensure Jazing's safety from her poison. Afterward, Chu Yao met with Emperor Chu Kui and discussed his plans to leave for the battlefield. Before departing, Chu Yao intended to visit Jazing. However, it turned out that Emperor Chu Kui's assistant was keeping an eye on him. The next day, Chu Yao was summoned once again to meet Emperor Chu Kui, where he revealed his plan involving Yaoji to test Chu Kui's loyalty. There, Chu Kui clarified the misunderstanding, and in the end, Chu Yao was allowed to take Jazing back home. The following day, Yaoji met Chu Yao and praised him for not changing just because of Jazing. Yaoji thought that perhaps Chu Yao was realizing that everything had been a test. Later, Chu Yao came to pick up Jazing, but she noticed that Chu Yao seemed anxious while hugging her. Jazing hoped that Chu Yao could find happiness when they were together. On another day, Yaoji visited Chu Yao's residence. When they met, there was tension between them. There, Yaoji explained the purpose of her visit for this year's horse slaughter event. Jazing was then invited by Yaoji to the prison to select prisoners who would participate in the slaughter event and be executed before the horse slaughter party. Yaoji mentioned that a year ago, it was Chu Yao who chose one of the prisoners from the prison. In the evening, Chu Yao and Mu set out to rescue the innkeeper, but their plan was discovered by Yaji. The next day, Chu Yao returned and learned that Jazing had gone missing, suspecting that Yaji had kidnapped her. Then, he went to Yaji to search for Jazing, but ended up falling into a trap, inhaling poisonous flower fumes. Surprisingly, the person at Yaji's place wasn't Jazing, but Mingji, the female inn owner. Soon after, Yaji appeared and aimed to force Chu Yao to revert to his cruel self. To make it happen, she threatened to kill Jazing. On the other hand, Jazing found herself in the palace, facing Emperor Chu Kui. She revealed that she had received a murder warrant for the Ma family from an unknown person and asked the emperor to reopen the Ma family massacre case, suspecting that it wasn't the work of the Qin kingdom. However, Emperor Chu Kui was furious, refused the request, and sent Jazing to prison. Shortly after, Chu Yao finally learned that Jazing was imprisoned and met with Emperor Chu Kui to discuss the situation. Emperor Chu Kui explained that although the letter contained false information, it could push Jazing to uncover the real culprit. He also contemplated killing Jazing after using the Ma family soldiers to attack the Qin kingdom. To ensure Jazing's survival, Chu Yao needed to make her forget about the case. Then, when Chu Yao got back home, he immediately talked to his 3 bodyguards about resolving Jazing's problem. However, Chu Yao suddenly felt pain from the earlier poisoning by Yaji's flowers. This forced his bodyguards to confine him to a room to prevent any harm to innocent people, because the poison could make Chu Yao reveal his cruel side. Later, Wei Nan met with Emperor Chu Kui and revealed that the notice about the Ma family massacre that Jazing had received came from Yaji. Upon learning this, Emperor Chu Kui went to Yaji's house, found some evidence, and had her imprisoned. Sometime later, Jazing was no longer under punishment and went to see Emperor Chu Kui. However, she still had suspicions about Yaji's actions. Soon after, Emperor Chu Kui reassured Jazing not to dwell on the murder, as only the Qin kingdom was capable of carrying out the Ma family killings. Shortly after, Emperor Chu Kui got a message from the 4th prince about the battlefield. The emperor wanted to attack the Qin warriors right away, but they were too strong. So he decided to use the Ma family warriors and get rid of them at the same time. Later, Jazing went back to Chu Yao's house and found him unconscious. She felt guilty about what happened to him. The next day, Chu Yao finally woke up and was really happy to see Jazing doing well. Meanwhile, on the battlefield, the Ma family soldiers got poisoned while checking out the enemy. The doctor said General Feng Chen was in danger, so General Qian Hao decided to inform Emperor Chu Kui and ask for help. On the flip side, right now Jai Kong is in the city of Quizhou, keeping his identity secret to gather information about the Ma family's death from the innkeeper. While doing this, he bumped into General Feng Chen and asked him about the Ma family's case, thinking they might be soldiers from the Qin kingdom. But out of nowhere, Prince Li Jun showed up and told Jai Kong that the Ma family's death wasn't the doing of their soldiers, which really surprised Jai Kong. Meanwhile, at the palace, Jazing and Chu Yao met Emperor Chu Kui after hearing about General Feng Chen and his soldiers being seriously sick because of poison. Upon hearing this, Emperor Chu Kui saw it as his best opportunity against the Qin kingdom. This surprised Chu Yao because they were supposed to leave the war, and Chu Yao himself wanted to join the battle. But surprisingly, Emperor Chu Kui said no. Instead, Jazing stepped up and offered to lead the reinforcements. Surprisingly, Emperor Chu Kui agreed. Later on, Emperor Chu Kui had a private conversation with Chu Yao to discuss their plans for dealing with the Ma family's forces. Emperor Chu Kui then asked Chu Yao to lead the attack on the Ma family's troops. However, Chu Yao asked for forgiveness and requested that Jazing be spared instead. Then, Emperor Chu Kui shared the story of how the first prince met his tragic end because Ma Jing and his troops didn't help him when he needed it. This made Emperor Chu Kui determined to take down Ma's troops and convinced Chu Yao to seek revenge for his elder brothers. Meanwhile, at the Qin Kingdom headquarters, Prince Li Jun handed Jai Kong a letter that proved the Qin troops wouldn't attack the Ma family troops and revealed that Emperor Chu Kui was the one behind the massacre. However, Prince Li Jun couldn't persuade the Ma family forces because there was no solid evidence. So, it was up to Jai Kong to help Jiazing escape from Emperor Chu Kui's wicked plans. Meanwhile, at the third prince's house, also known as Chu Yao, Jiazing was seen learning about war strategies with Chu Yao. Impressed by Jiazing's observations, Chu Yao recognized her talent as a leader in warfare. Then he advised her not to trust the enemy and to focus on defeating them. He even gave Jiazing some battle armor and encouraged her to survive the upcoming battle. The next day, while on their journey, Jai Kong crossed paths with Mei Jing, Jiazing's maid. Jai Kong wanted to accompany Mei Jing to the Ma family's army headquarters to reveal the truth about the Ma family's massacre. Meanwhile, Jiazing was getting ready for a wedding rehearsal organized by Chu Yao. There, Chu Yao believed it might be their last time together. In the evening, they practiced how the wedding procession would go if they got married. Then, at the Ma family headquarters, Jai Kong disclosed the truth to General Feng Chen and revealed that he was actually the prince of the Qin kingdom. To prove this, Jai Kong showed how deeply he cared for Jiazing and explained the events that had transpired, offering evidence that Chu Yao, the third prince, had been involved in the Ma family's deaths. Hearing that, General Feng Chen remembered what the innkeeper had mentioned about the third prince staying at his inn before the massacre. Elsewhere, Chu Yao prepared to confront Jiazing on the battlefield, willing to sacrifice himself for his wrongdoing. The next day, General Xian Hu found Emperor Chu Kui's spies within the Ma family's army, but one of them took their own life before being interrogated. Meanwhile, at Chu Yao's house, Jiazing readied herself for battle. After she left, Chu Yao severed their bond. On the other hand, Emperor Chu Kui was aware of the Ma soldiers' rebellion and urged Chu Yao to stop Jiazing immediately, intending to use her as a hostage. Then, as Jiazing continued her journey, she stopped at a tavern where the tired tavern keeper needed a break. Unbeknownst to her, Yaji's men were secretly planning to poison her. When Jiazing was about to leave, she unexpectedly ran into Mei Jing. At that time, Mei Jing wanted to whisk Jiazing away and explain the situation that had unfolded. Unfortunately, they were surrounded by troops from the Yan kingdom. To make matters worse, Chu Yao and a group of elite soldiers arrived, reminding Jiazing of her father's murder. It was then that Jiazing learned that Chu Yao and Emperor Chu Kui were the culprits behind her family's massacre. At this moment, Chu Yao finally revealed his true identity and shared the whole truth about what had happened, including the orders given by Emperor Chu Kui. There, Chu Yao admitted that he had become a tool of murder for Emperor Chu Kui, causing Jiazing to recall painful memories and cry uncontrollably. He then took both Jiazing and Mei Jing as captives. Sometime later, Generals Xian Hao and Jai Kong arrived at the scene and saw the severely wounded Ma family troops. Jai Kong told General Xian Hao, who had been planning to attack the Yan Kingdom Army headquarters, explaining that Jiazing would be safe for the time being under Emperor Chu Kui's watch. Meanwhile, Jiazing and Mei Jing were taken to the palace and imprisoned. There, Mei Jing asked Haiti why she had the heart to carry out the massacre, and Jiazing asked Mu to confirm the true perpetrator of her family's massacre. Meanwhile, Emperor Chu Kui was furious with Chu Yao for failing in his plan. In response, Chu Yao proposed using Jiazing to control the Ma family troops. Emperor Chu Kui instructed Chu Yao to closely watch over Jiazing and avoid any further mistakes. Sometime later, Chu Yao handed the antidote to Haiti with the plan to mix it into Jiazing's food. However, Jiazing refused to eat it and requested to see Chu Yao. Shortly after, Haiti reported the situation to Chu Yao, leaving him feeling confused. He had to decide whether to meet Jiazing as Chu Yao or reveal his true identity as the third prince. With no other option, he planned to ask Emperor Chu Kui to release Jiazing. On another front, the fourth prince was on his way back to the palace. Soon after, Jai Kong approached and waited for the fourth prince. There, Jai Kong expressed his intention to take the fourth prince hostage to compel Emperor Chu Kui to free Jiazing and Mei Jing. Back in prison, Mu came to fetch Jiazing, taking her to meet Chu Yao. Soon after, they went to Chu Yao's house through the secret room in the elite soldiers' headquarters. Chu Yao intentionally brought Jiazing there to reveal her true identity, without any deception. Finally, Jazing grasped the full picture of what had happened. Chu Yao then confessed to Jazing that he had killed her father and her family. This revelation left Jazing heartbroken, and she asked why Chu Yao hadn't taken his own life that night as well. But he refused to answer and instead erased all the memories Jazing had of him. This caused Jazing to faint, and Chu Yao called for Wang Nan to check on her and remove all the poison from her body. When Jazing woke up back in prison, she felt desolate because Chu Yao had vanished. Meanwhile, at the palace, Emperor Chu Kui received news that the fourth prince had been taken captive. He felt that his plans had been utterly ruined by the Ma family's forces. Emperor Chu Kui then ordered Chu Yao to take Jazing and exchange her for the fourth prince. Surprisingly, Emperor Chu Kui also gave the order to kill Jazing after rescuing the fourth prince. Long story short, Chu Yao and Jai Kong finally met at the agreed-upon location. Chu Yao asked for the release of the fourth prince, but Jai Kong declined. So, they decided to exchange prisoners simultaneously. During this exchange, Chu Yao couldn't bring himself to kill Jazing as per Emperor Chu Kui's orders. After the swap, Qin Kingdom troops led by Prince Li Jun arrived. Then, Jai Kong introduced himself as one of the Qin Kingdom's princes and a renowned general, and he planned to confront Chu Yao. However, Jazing stopped him because Mei Jing was still held captive by Chu Yao. Soon after, Chu Yao departed and found safety. Then, the fourth prince asked why Chu Yao and Jazing's relationship had taken such a turn, but Chu Yao didn't want to explain. In the end, Chu Yao released Mei Jing and asked her to give a bow to Jazing. Meanwhile, Jazing had decided to align with the Qin Kingdom and remain loyal to Prince Jai Kong. Shortly after, Mei Jing brought the bow to Jazing and told Chu Yao's message. At the same time, Jazing also vowed to seek revenge for her father's death. Meanwhile, Emperor Chu Kui finally met the fourth prince, who asked about what had really happened. However, Emperor Chu Kui was furious and punished the fourth prince for causing the failure of his plan. Not long after, Chu Yao also admitted his failure in the mission to kill Jazing. The next day, Jazing and her companions eventually arrived in Chu Yao City. At that time, she was impressed by the city's cleanliness. She spotted a wolf and instinctively tried to chase it, but this violated city rules, leading Jai Kong to intervene. However, Prince Li Jun scolded Jazing for causing a disturbance in the city. Jai Kong apologized for Jazing's mistake, and then took her to meet King Qin. There, Jazing expressed her gratitude for the assistance provided and pledged loyalty to King Qin. Elsewhere, the fourth prince was intoxicated and went to Chu Yao, expressing his hope that Jazing and Chu Yao could marry and live freely together. The next day, Jazing was studying military strategy, and Jai Kong came by, urging her to eat before practicing. During their conversation, Jai Kong presented several political options, including the idea of marrying him. However, Jazing decided that her priority was to lead troops on the battlefield because she was determined to get revenge on Chu Yao. After that, Jai Kong planned to introduce Jazing to a woman named Ping Yuan, who happened to be the daughter of the previous emperor of the Yan Kingdom. Turns out she had survived the massacre ordered by Emperor Chu Kui and was, in fact, Jazing's biological mother, although Jazing was unaware of this fact. Soon after, Jazing and Mei Jing tried to enter Ping Yuan's house, hoping to seek her support in commanding the Ma family troops. Then, she finally met Ping Yuan and introduced herself as the Ma family's daughter. She tried to convince Princess Ping Yuan to persuade King Qin to send his troops against Emperor Chu Kui. However, Ping Yuan refused because King Qin had helped her, and she didn't want his soldiers to die in vain just for her personal revenge against Emperor Chu Kui. Meanwhile, at the Yan Kingdom's palace, Emperor Chu Kui received news about the new king of Khitan. He then instructed Chu Yao to travel to the Khitan Kingdom, attend the event, and find out the new king's intentions. At the same time, Jazing met with King Qin, who asked her to go to the Khitan Kingdom because she was close to Princess Bona. King Qin hoped that Jazing could convince Princess Bona to reconsider the cooperation agreement with the Yan Kingdom, fearing that it could lead to a major war if both nations joined forces. King Qin also reminded Jiazing that Chu Yao might be present at the event, so she needed to control her emotions. Afterward, Jiazing returned to her room and explained the mission to cancel the cooperation agreement between the Khitan Kingdom and the Yan Kingdom. Upon hearing this, Jiakong and Mei Jing became concerned because they didn't think Jiazing was ready to face Chu Yao without preparation. However, Jiazing believed she had to confront him, even if she wasn't fully prepared. The next day, Jiazing went to meet Bana, who had been eagerly waiting for her, as instructed in Jiazing's letter. There, Bana expressed her concern about Chu Yao, and Jiakong explained what had happened. Bana was left disappointed in Chu Yao. Jiakong also shared the purpose of their journey into the forest, but Bana couldn't cancel the agreement with the Yan Kingdom. Instead, she offered to help Jiazing meet her older brother, Baogan, who would become the new king of Khitan. To enter Khitan, they needed to hide their identities, so Bana them with disguised clothes. On the other side, Chu Yao and the fourth prince had also reached the forest's edge. The fourth prince advised them to reach Khitan before sunset. They decided to rest, and Chu Yao went hunting with his wolf. Meanwhile, Jiazing was about to continue her journey when Jiakong spotted a wolf in the forest. There, Jiakong asked Jiazing to kill the wolf as a test. Sometime later, Chu Yao entered the forest and found his wolf had been hit by an arrow from the Khitan Kingdom. Long story short, Jiazing and the others arrived in the Khitan capital. At that time, Bana intended to arrange a meeting between Jiazing and Baogan. Meanwhile, Jiazing, disguised as a servant, was mistaken for one and ended up serving Chu Yao, who was already there. Fortunately, Bana arrived and helped Jiazing leave the tent where Chu Yao was. Later, Chu Yao and the fourth prince met with Baogan. Chu Yao used his knowledge to establish a rapport with Baogan, even bringing him books as a gift since Baogan enjoyed reading. Soon after, Jiazing and Jiakong entered and met Baogan. Bana introduced them, surprising Baogan when he realized they were soldiers from the Qin Kingdom. Suddenly, a dispute between Jiazing and Chu Yao happened regarding the cooperation between their two kingdoms. Jiazing then took Baogan outside his tent to show him an eclipse, which was a sign of disaster for the Khitan tribe if they allied with the Yan Kingdom. However, Chu Yao asking the help of the wolf to determine when the eclipse would end, and he used this knowledge to regain Baogan's trust. Chu Yao explained that the eclipse was a natural phenomenon that would end in a few minutes. Ultimately, Jiazing's plan to persuade Baogan to abandon the collaboration failed. Later, Bana went to Chu Yao's tent and removed all the bedding. She also had a disagreement with the fourth prince. Shortly after, Jiakong challenged Chu Yao, but lost again. When Chu Yao was about to kill Jiakong, Jiazing intervened and stopped him. Unexpectedly, Bana ordered her troops to capture Chu Yao and instructed Jiazing to kill him on the spot. However, Chu Yao knew Jiazing couldn't go through with it. Afterward, Jiazing left, blaming herself for not being able to kill Chu Yao. The following day, the opening ceremony for Baogan as the king of Khitan took place. However, in the midst of the ceremony, Ping Yuan arrived to congratulate Baogan. Jiakong and Jiazing explained that Ping Yuan was the daughter of the former emperor of the Yan Kingdom. This triggered memories for Baogan, who recalled being a prisoner of Emperor Chu Kui's troops in the past and being cared for by Ping Yuan. Ping Yuan revealed that she had been hiding in the Qin Kingdom and urged Baogan to reconsider his cooperation with the Yan Kingdom. Despite her plea, Baogan couldn't simply cancel the alliance. Later that evening, they attended a party in honor of Ping Yuan. She showed a knife given to her by Baogan, which she had entrusted to a painter to give to her daughter. Shortly after, soldiers called Baogan to pay his respects at the ancestral temple. As Baogan left, Chu Yao suddenly warned Ping Yuan not to act recklessly. She initially denied the accusation, but the incident led Jiakong to remember Chu Yao's words. He realized that the woman claiming to be Princess Ping Yuan was an imposter, actually a servant in disguise. Jiakong suspected that King Qin might be using Jiazing as a scapegoat. The next day, Jiazing was asked to go see Bagwan, who was really mad at her because she tricked him by bringing a fake Princess Ping Yuan. Just when it seemed like Jiazing was about to be sent to jail, Kong suddenly showed up and said that Jazing was actually Ping Yuan's daughter. This totally shocked Jazing. Kong even had a painting of Ping Yuan's daughter that looked a lot like Jazing. He also told the story of how Ma Jing had saved Ping Yuan. He even got the painter to back him up as a witness. The painter mentioned a special jade that could light up in water, and Ping Yuan was the only one who had that kind of jade. But now, Jazing had that jade stone. When it lit up, it proved that Jazing was Ping Yuan's daughter. Jazing felt really thankful to Kong for revealing her true identity. After hearing all this, Bagwan decided to cancel his deal with Yan Kingdom and not help them in the war. Plus, Jazing now had the right to challenge Emperor Chu Kui, so she and Chu Yao declared that they were going to fight him. Meanwhile, over at the Yan Palace, Emperor Chu Kui noticed that the fourth prince was lying there, looking very weak. The doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with him. Shortly after, Chunya returned and met Yaji to help heal the fourth prince. When they got back, they found the fourth prince awake, but he was still unconscious. Unfortunately, Yaji couldn't do much, so they had to wait for the fourth prince to get better on his own. When Emperor Chu Kui heard this, he blamed Chu Yao for what happened and punished him by using poisonous flowers and tying him up in prison. Sometime later, Yaji talked to Chu Yao and mentioned that even though the third prince was seen as a child by Emperor Chu Kui, he was treated differently than a biological child. Not long after, Emperor Chu Kui visited the prison to see Chu Yao, who was about to be beaten. On the other hand, Jazing returned to the Qin kingdom, and King Qin, who knew she was Ping Yuan's daughter, offered her the Qin kingdom's troops. However, Jazing turned down the offer because she didn't think she could handle it. Instead, she decided to give control of the Ma family troops to King Qin. But this decision didn't sit well with the Ma family troops, and they rebelled because they didn't want to follow King Qin's orders. Surprisingly, Kong had planned for this and volunteered to lead the troops. Eventually, the Ma family agreed to follow him. Meanwhile, Yanji helped to treat Chunyo's injuries from his punishment. At the same time, General Weingrong from the Qin kingdom came to see Jazing. He wanted King Qin to swear loyalty to Jazing, so that their combined forces, which were Kong's troops, the Ma family troops, and the Qin troops could unite and take over the Yan kingdom's throne. At that time, General Weingrong urged Jazing not to hesitate in making this decision. Long story short, Jazing's crowning ceremony happened, and all the troops swear their loyalty to her to fight against the Yan kingdom. The next day, the Yan kingdom declared war, and Emperor Chu Kui forced all men to join the war effort and contribute food. Meanwhile, Kong and Jazing practiced their sword skills in preparation for the upcoming war. On the other hand, Chu Yao had woken up and was taking care of the fourth prince. He shared stories from their past and made a promise to win the war. Before long, Emperor Chu Kui showed up and ordered Chu Yao to get rid of all the Ma family troops and Qin kingdom troops. Meanwhile, Jazing and the other generals gathered to discuss their strategy and realized that the key to winning this war would be how well they defended their troops. Soon enough, they received a report about Chu Yao and his troops approaching. Chu Yao also sent a message, suggesting a face-to-face meeting with Jazing. If she refused, the Yan kingdom troops would attack their fortress. Long story short, Chu Yao eventually met with Jazing and threatened to wipe out her troops. However, if Jazing surrendered, he would let her troops leave the fort. Then, Jazing asked for some time to make her decision. Meanwhile, Emperor Chu Kui received a letter from Chu Yao, advising him to join the battlefield. His generals also recommended bringing the fourth prince to the battlefield. Emperor Chu Kui agreed to the plan, but Yaji had her doubts. Later on, Yaji saw the fourth prince, who didn't seem sick at all. She also learned that the fourth prince was plotting revenge against Emperor Chu Kui. The following day, Emperor Chu Kui arrived at the battlefield, and Chu Yao was confident that Jazing would surrender to protect her troops. Knowing that, Emperor Chu Kui praised Chu Yao's plan. Meanwhile, Jazing and her team believed that Chu Yao would attack their fortress the next day. There, she decided to give Kong a mission to capture Emperor Chu Kui. The following day, Jazing surprised everyone by choosing to go to war instead. At the same time, the fourth prince threatened Emperor Chu Kui to hand over his imperial badge. However, Emperor Chu Kui already knew about the fourth prince's plan thanks to Yaji, so he pressured the general who helped the fourth prince to reveal the other conspirators. In the end, Emperor Chu Kui discovered that Chu Yao had also aided the fourth prince in this rebellion. The fourth prince explained that he had rebelled after knowing from Chu Yao that Emperor Chu Kui had killed the first prince. Meanwhile, on the battlefield, there Chu Yao decided to move forward all by himself and told his soldiers to stay back. At that time, he had a plan in mind. He wanted to make up for some wrongs he had done in the past, so he purposely got hit by an arrow from Jazing. He did this to help Jazing let go of her desire for revenge. Jazing began to realize that something strange was happening. Chu Yao was taking all the arrows that were meant for him. Just when Chu Yao was ready to sacrifice himself, Mu and Haiti stepped in to protect him. Meanwhile, Jai Kong and his soldiers were attacking Emperor Chu Kui's headquarters with fire and arrows. At the same time, Jazing also joined the battle and led her own troops. Unfortunately, she got captured by soldiers from the Yan Kingdom. When Chu Yao found out about this, he rushed to rescue her. But when Jazing saw her chance, she stabbed an arrow into Chu Yao's body and then passed out. Injured and determined, Chu Yao tried to get Jazing to safety away from the chaotic battlefield. On the other hand, Shai Kong got word from his eagle that Jazing had been captured by Chu Yao. This news sent Jai Kong into a panic, so he decided to divide his army into two parts. Meanwhile, Chu Yao finally reached a doctor's place and asked the doctor to save Jazing. The following day, he felt relieved because Jazing's condition had improved. The healer also helped to treat Chu Yao's own wounds. In the evening, Chu Yao received news that Emperor Chu Kui was still in power, and that the fourth prince's plan to stage a coup had failed. Chu Yao had a plan to return Jazing to the Qin kingdom, even though it meant crossing steep mountains to avoid Yan troops. The next day, Jazing woke up from her fainting spell and saw Chu Yao by her side. She immediately attacked him, but Chu Yao held her back and explained that he had betrayed the Yan kingdom. He expressed his regret for his past mistakes and the harm he had caused her. However, Jazing no longer trusted Chu Yao and believed that his words were just an act. Meanwhile, in the Yan kingdom, Emperor Chu Kui, who survived Jai Kong's attack but had lost the war, appointed Yaji as the new leader of elite soldiers and assigned the second prince to handle security matters in the kingdom of Yan. Long story short, Chu Yao and Jazing were on their way back to the Qin kingdom. Along the journey, Jazing even attempted to harm herself, but Chu Yao stopped her. Eventually, he had to tie her up to prevent any rebellious actions. In the evening, the Yaji flower poison flared up again, causing Chu Yao to act cruelly, and Jazing fainted. When Chu Yao woke up the next morning and saw Jazing unconscious, he panicked. When Jazing woke up, they continued their journey. In the evening, Jazing opened up about her feelings. She also realized that all this time, Chu Yao had been acting for his own sake. The following day, Jai Kong managed to locate Chu Yao and understood Chu Yao's plan during the previous war, allowing Jazing to succeed in her mission to take his life. There, Chu Yao explained that he felt guilty because he had killed Jazing's family. He also told Jai Kong that he intended to return to the Yan kingdom capital and face punishment from Emperor Chu Kui. Then he asked Jai Kong to keep his actions a secret and believed that Jai Kong cared about Jazing's happiness. The next day, Jazing finally woke up and was surprised to find Jai Kong by her side. Jai Kong explained that he had sent Chu Yao away, and they both returned to the Qin kingdom. Meanwhile, in the Yan palace, the second prince met Emperor Chu Kui and promised to take care of Chu Yao. On the other hand, Yaji received a message to meet Chu Yao. In the evening, Chu Yao waited for Yaji while thinking about how he had hurt Jazing's feelings. Soon after, Yaji arrived, and Chu Yao immediately asked about the whereabouts of the fourth prince because he wanted to trade his life for the fourth prince's freedom. The following day, Chu Yao went to the Yan palace to surrender to Emperor Chu Kui. Meanwhile, Jazing and Jai Kong finally returned and heard about Chu Yao surrendering to the Yan kingdom. They also caught wind of some rumors about a forbidden relationship between Jiazing and Chu Yao, which made Jaikong angry. Then he volunteered to marry Jiazing. The next day, preparations for Jiazing's wedding were ongoing. In the evening, Jaikong got drunk because he felt neglected by Jiazing. He believed that Jiazing still had feelings for Chu Yao. Soon after, Jaikong received information that Chu Yao was facing a death sentence. He told his men to keep it a secret. At the moment, Chu Yao awaited his execution while Jiazing prepared for her wedding with Jaikong. Both of them held memories of their time together. Chu Yao hoped that his death would put an end to the bad rumors about him and Jiazing. The next day, Jaikong and Jiazing were getting ready for their wedding, while Chu Yao was tied to a stake, awaiting his punishment. The execution was about to happen. Then, the second prince arrived to see Chu Yao and informed him about Jiazing's upcoming marriage. At the same time, Jiazing and Jaikong were in the midst of their wedding ceremony. However, Jaikong suddenly stopped the proceedings and revealed that Chu Yao was facing execution. Despite Jiazing's shock, she decided to move on and forget about Chu Yao, who had never truly cared for her feelings. As the fire for Chu Yao's execution was about to be lit, lightning struck and blew out fire. Strangely, the lightning also split a sword belonging to Emperor Chu Kui's ancestor, leaving everyone puzzled. Soon after, Emperor Chu Kui arrived at the execution place, and Yaoji asked the second prince to obey the emperor's orders. As a result, the death sentence for Chu Yao was cancelled, and he received a punishment that made him a slave. Meanwhile, Jiazing and Jaikong had their wedding ceremony. Jaikong, who had a bit too much to drink, couldn't figure out why he was feeling sad. He wasn't sure if it was because of his marriage or Chu Yao's supposed death. However, not long after, Jaikong got a report saying that Chu Yao's execution couldn't happen. Upon hearing this, Jaikong met with Jiazing and shared the news that Chu Yao was still alive. Jaikong suggested they have a drink to celebrate Chu Yao's survival. On the other side, Yaoji approached Chu Yao and explained that his punishment in the Qian mine would be terrible, but Chu Yao was more interested in why Yaoji risked her life to save him. However, Yaoji didn't want to reveal the reason and simply reminisced about the past when Chu Yao had helped her. The following day, Chu Yao was taken to the Qian mine, and the news of his capture had reached the Qin kingdom. Jaikong and the other generals believed that the enemy might be regrouping and preparing for another attack, so they needed someone who had knowledge about the enemy's situation. There, Jaikong proposed rescuing Chu Yao and gathering information from him. Hearing that, King Qin agreed to this idea, but Jiazing and the other generals did not. Meanwhile, at the Qian mine, the blind people were being treated terribly by a cruel guard named Gu Wei. Soon after, Gu Wei received a report about new slaves sent by Emperor Chu Kui. He welcomed the second prince, who had brought a new slave which none other than Chu Yao. Upon seeing this, all the other slaves in the mine wanted revenge against Chu Yao because they had been enslaved by him. However, just as Chu Yao was about to be branded with the slave mark by Gu Wei, the second prince intervened as he had a plan. The next day, Chu Yao began to experience the life of a slave, and the other slaves started throwing stones at him. In the evening, he entered a cave and was attacked by the other slaves. Meanwhile, Jiazing and Jaikong were on their way and stopped at a house. They learned that the residents were suffering from hunger because they had been forced to give away their harvests to officials during the dry season, a consequence of the previous war. On the other hand, in a nearby town near the Qian mine, a boy named Yuer was crying in the market. Turns out the second prince had ordered Yuer to spread negative rumors about Chu Yao to make the residents dislike him. Soon after, Jiazing and Jaikong also reached the town and found Yuer. They threatened to expose Yuer's true identity unless he helped them reach the Qian mine. In the end, Jiazing and Jaikong arrived at the Qian mine and were surprised to see Chu Yao looking like a slave. While Chu Yao continued to show kindness to the other slaves, they still believed he was just pretending. Later, Jaikong and Jiazing, with Yuer's help, tried to sneak into the mine. They eventually meet Chu Yao, but he acted coldly upon realizing that Jiazing had arrived. Jiazing then shared her goals and asked Chu Yao to form an alliance with the Qin kingdom. However, he declined the offer, but Jason gave him some time to think it over. The next day, Yor discovered his brother's lifeless body, and his anger led him to consider reporting it to Gui. However, Yor accidentally overheard a conversation between Gui and the second prince, who turned out to be the mastermind behind his brother's death. Then, soon after this incident, Chu Yao was attacked by the other slaves, who believed she was responsible for Yor's brother's death. However, Yor came forward and clarified that Chu Yao was not the culprit. Upon hearing this, the second prince was furious and planned to imprison Yor. Knowing that, the slaves discussed how to rescue Yor and realized they had been manipulated by the second prince. They understood that even if they killed Chu Yao, they wouldn't escape the mine. In response, Chu Yao promised to save Yor by using explosives and helping him hide in the Qin kingdom. But one of the slaves disagreed with the plan. The next day, the slave who had different opinion reported the slave rebellion and knew where the explosives were hidden. In fact, he was willing to be a spy for Gui. In the evening, Chu Yao discussed his plans with the other slaves and used a fire as a signal. Even Jason and Jikong, who saw the signal, understood that it came from Chu Yao. In the morning, the spy reported Chu Yao's plan because he noticed the mine officer's horse was missing. Soon after, Gui gathered all the slaves to evacuate, but it turned out that the spy had secretly been working with Chu Yao all along. He was the one who had taken the explosives from Gui's place. Shortly after, Chu Yao arrived and rescued Yor, easily defeating Gui. Together with the other slaves, they eventually made it to the Qin kingdom. There, Chu Yao took care of Yor, who had fainted. When Yor woke up, he felt sad because his father had passed away. To comfort Yor, Chu Yao shared a story about a man from the forest who met an official's daughter. Jason happened to overhear this story. Shortly after, Jason and Jikong entered the room, and Chu Yao expressed his gratitude for Jason's assistance, which had set him on the right path. Afterwards, Chu Yao also thanked Jikong for keeping his promise to take care of Jason. The following day, Chu Yao went to see King Qin, who thanked him for prioritizing the safety of the people. In the evening, Chu Yao got together with the people from the Qian mines for a party. There, they talked about their home they couldn't return to. Chu Yao made a promise to take them back to the Yan kingdom. On the other hand, Emperor Chu Kui's health was getting worse, so Yaji advised him to perform a ritual to improve his health. However, this ritual required a sacrifice, and Yaji intended to offer Wang Nan, Mu, and Haiti. In reality, Yaji had a plan to save them. Later, Yaji met with Chu Yao and made a rescue plan for Chu Yao's 3 bodyguards. Then, Chu Yao asked her once again why she wanted to help him, and Yaji explained that Chu Yao was like family to her. The next day, Bana met with Jason and Jikong to discuss the actions of the second prince and Emperor Chu Kui, which posed a threat to Bagwan. Shortly after, Chu Yao arrived and had already learned about Emperor Chu Kui's plans from Yaji. He planned to rescue the elite soldiers and collaborate with Yaji. Meanwhile, Emperor Chu Kui was taking his medicine, but he suddenly collapsed when exposed to sunlight. Shockingly, he had lost his sight. Yaji explained that this was not due to an illness, but because someone had poisoned him. Hearing that, Emperor Chu Kui was greatly surprised, and now he couldn't see. In the evening, with Yaji's help, Chu Yao went to visit Emperor Chu Kui. He explained that he wanted to save the 4th prince and warned Emperor Chu Kui that the 2nd prince intended to harm him. Chu Yao asked Emperor Chu Kui to cooperate and consider giving the throne to the 4th prince in the future. The next day, the ritual for Emperor Chu Kui was performed, and Wang Nan, Mu, and Haiti were about to be sacrificed. However, Chu Yao arrived in time to rescue them all. Sadly, Wang Nan was unconscious despite being rescued, and it was revealed that he had been poisoned. Within the next few minutes, Wang Nan would pass away, leaving everyone feeling deeply saddened. In the evening, Chu Yao felt sadness because he couldn't save Wang Nan, so he offered his blood as a tribute to honor Wang Nan's memory. But when he saw his own blood, it was dark, indicating that his health was getting worse. Meanwhile, Jason was still determined not to meet with Chu Yao. When Jikong heard everything Jason had said to Bana, he decided to reveal the whole truth about the previous war, Chu Yao's sacrifices to protect Jiazing, and the tragic Ma family massacre. At first, Jai Kong couldn't tell this information due to his promise to Chu Yao, but seeing the suffering Chu Yao had endured, he couldn't keep it inside any longer and told Jiazing everything. Jiazing had thought that the person who had always protected her was Jai Kong. However, Jai Kong emphasized that it was Chu Yao who had always been in her heart. He also believed that Chu Yao was the one who could make Jiazing truly happy. Afterwards, Jiazing met Chu Yao, who was grieving over Wang Nan's death. There, Jiazing expressed gratitude to Chu Yao for his sincere protection and apologized for not realizing his kindness earlier. Then, she invited him to live together. Regrettably, Chu Yao had to decline the offer because he knew he didn't have much time left to live. The next day, while tending to his sword, Chu Yao felt the pain from his wounds again. Soon after, Yaji came to check on his health and realized that he didn't have much time left. Soon after, Jiazing asked Yaji why she had come to that place. Yaji explained that Chu Yao had a severe illness and only had about 6 months left to live. There she begged Jiazing to take care of Chu Yao for the rest of her life, as she was the only one who had made Chu Yao truly happy. After hearing that, Jiazing finally understood why Chu Yao had wanted her to spend time with him in that place. Then, when Chu Yao woke up, he saw that Jiazing had prepared everything for him. At night, he had a dream where he was training with the first prince. When he woke up, he had a strong feeling that the fourth prince was in danger. The next day, the second prince was planning to start his rebellion. He intended to enter Emperor Chu Kui's room and attack him with arrows. Yaji also sensed something suspicious, but was ambushed by soldiers waiting there. The following day, the ministers gathered to hear the announcement that the second prince had taken the throne and would execute all the rebels. He accused the fourth prince of killing Emperor Chu Kui, but spared his life. Fortunately, Yaji managed to defeat the soldiers who attacked her, but couldn't overcome the poison spreading in her body. On the other hand, news of Emperor Chu Kui's death, supposedly at the hands of the fourth prince, reached the Qin kingdom. However, Chu Yao immediately denied the news and planned to go to Yan kingdom to rescue the fourth prince. The next day, Bama, who had feelings for Jai Kong, tried to sneak into Jai Kong's army to meet him. When she met Jai Kong, she expressed her concerns, but Jai Kong was currently heartbroken and had no mood to eat or entertain her. However, Bana insisted on making Jai Kong eat the food. Annoyed, he told her to leave the area and return to her kingdom because it was too dangerous for her there. Shortly after, Yaji arrived at Chu Yao's side with severe injuries. There, Jiazing tended to Yaji's wounds, and she expressed concern about Chu Yao's serious condition, though he seemed unaware of it. Later, Chu Yao and the others were called to meet with King Qin, who had received a message from the second prince requesting a personal meeting with Chu Yao to secure the safety of the captive fourth prince. Knowing that, Jiazing asked King Qin to imprison Chu Yao, believing that he had a small chance of winning. Jiazing did this to ensure that Chu Yao wouldn't be killed by the second prince. Meanwhile, in the Yan kingdom, the second prince grew furious because Chu Yao didn't show up, and he resorted to torturing the fourth prince. Upon hearing the news, King Qin decided to go to war, but Jiazing intervened and shared information about an antidote for Chu Yao. Eventually, Jai Kong made a plan to sneak into Yan kingdom and rescue the fourth prince on his own. While preparing to depart, he came across a necklace left by Bana. Then, Jai Kong decided to sneak through a tunnel and a well, but it turned out to be a trap set by the second prince, and he was hit by an arrow. Meanwhile, Jiazing woke up from a nap and noticed that her blood had turned black, similar to Chu Yao's condition. There, Yaji explained that Jiazing only had a few days left to live. Upon knowing about this, Jiazing requested that Yaji not inform Chu Yao. She also asked Yaji to take Chu Yao, who was being held captive in a location she had prepared. When Chu Yao arrived, Jiazing appeared exceptionally beautiful. There she mentioned that Yaji had found a cure for Chu Yao, but didn't told about own condition, hoping they wouldn't be separated again. Soon after, they held a wedding ceremony and vowed to always be together. At that time, Jiazing told her wish for Chu Yao to live happily, even though he only had 6 months left. Eventually, he fell unconscious, as Jazing had given him a healing potion, not a soothing pill as he had initially thought. Soon after, Jazing made plans to fulfill her responsibilities, and if she didn't return, she asked Chu Yao to always live a happy life. Soon after, Yaoji and Jazing reached the gates of the Yan Palace to meet with the second prince. There, Jazing delivered a message to bring the fourth prince in front of Chu Yao. However, the second prince was skeptical of Jazing's words. Meanwhile, Jaikong managed to survive with the help of a necklace from Bana. Then, a new minister from Yan approached Jazing and invited her inside to meet the second prince, but Jazing was only allowed to meet with the second prince alone. There, Jazing exchanged her hairpin with Yaoji and asked her to take care of Chu Yao if she didn't return. At the same time, Chu Yao, who had regained consciousness, read a letter from Jazing asking him not to follow. Despite this, he follows Jazing to the Yan Palace. At the same time, Jazing confronted the second prince, earning praise for her courage. Then she begged the second prince to release the fourth prince from captivity, arguing that the second prince was not fit to become the new emperor of Yan, which making the second prince mad, leading him to order his troops to attack Jazing. On the other hand, Chu Yao had reached the Yan Palace and faced off against the soldiers blocking his path. Meanwhile, inside the palace courtyard, Jazing successfully defeated the entire Yan Kingdom army. This forced the second prince's hand, and he attempted to kill the fourth prince. However, Jazing intervened, putting herself in harm's way to shield the fourth prince from the second prince's attack. Just as the second prince was about to strike again, Chu Yao arrived and managed to stop him. In battle, Chu Yao killed the second prince, who had been pretending to surrender. At that time, Chu Yao was heartbroken over the loss of Jazing, the woman he deeply loved. Several months later, the fourth prince had recovered from his injuries and claimed himself as the new emperor of Yan. Now, the Yan and Qin kingdoms were working together to live in peace, fulfilling Jazing's hopes. On another note, Jaikong met Bana and expressed his gratitude for the necklace that had saved his life from the arrow attack. He'd also apologized for previously sending her away. Soon after, Jaikong invited Bana to explore the world together. Meanwhile, Haiti and Mu decided to build an orphanage in line with Wang Nan's wishes, and they lived their lives together, dedicated to this noble cause. As for Yaoji, she chose to become a healer and fulfilled Chu Yao's wishes by saving many lives. Chu Yao, on the other hand, returned to the forest where he remembered his past moments with Jazing. Now he was determined to live a happy life in line with Jazing's wishes, and this marked the end of their journey. The series ends. The moral lesson from this series is when an emperor tries to adopt you, don't think twice, pack your bag and run.